What's up guys, and welcome back. We have a huge update video for Nintendo Switch leaks and huge tech discoveries and new updates and confirmations for the Nintendo Switch GPU and what it can do graphically. And yes, this is confirmed information and it's fantastic news. So if you do enjoy this content, please hit the like button and we will get started right away because we got a lot to talk about. So first up, let's talk about these controller leaks that many people have already talked about, but we do have the Nintendo Switch 2 Joy-Cons that have leaked. These are pretty much confirmed at this point, close to confirmed. Obviously nothing's confirmed until Nintendo confirms it, but since they're not going to do that, this is what we have to go by. But the serial numbers matches up for the Joy-Cons, and you can look this up on Nintendo's website to match it up. But the Joy-Cons for the Switch 2 have leaked, and they have this little blue accent in there on the inside of them. But the cool thing about it is that people have noticed that it has a little sensor on the inside of the Joy-Con that looks to be like a mouse type of laser sensor that you would use. If you're putting the Joy-Con down on a flat surface, you can basically use this pretty much like a mouse, from what a lot of people are assuming this is what it is. And it does look like that is the case. Now, for functionality, this could be used in a lot of different things, but you got to think that this is Nintendo's gimmick, so to speak, for Switch 2 and the Joy-Cons. You could use this in a variety of different applications. Many people pointed out possibly Mario Paint 2 or WarioWare, for example. Many games would really benefit from a mouse-like functionality, and that would be pretty interesting. Of course, there's other games already on the original Nintendo Switch that already support mouse and keyboard, like full real mouse and keyboard. So this would kind of just put it in the system itself and make it available to use for more creative applications. But it doesn't stop there. We also have, and this is brand new, this just was posted a few hours ago at CES, we also have Switch 2 Pro controllers being shown off and displayed to people at CES in Las Vegas 2025 for the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller. And yeah, this is a real deal. This is posted by Pori on Twitter. So shout outs to him. But this is, yes indeed, Switch 2 Pro controller and Switch 2 Joy-Con wireless controllers by third parties and shown to the public. So Switch 2 reveal has got to be right around the corner. Nintendo's not stopping these people from showing this stuff, so there you have it. But it doesn't end there, guys. We have more exciting news regarding the Switch 2 dock. If you recall, just a few weeks ago, we talked about the Switch 2 dock had a 60-watt TDP, basically to charge the Switch 2 in it, and that indicated that the Switch 2 would have a lot more power draw and a 45-watt power draw for the Switch 2 console itself. That was leaked and verified by The Verge. And then we have an actual picture of the dock itself that was leaked just very recently by Laura Kate Dell, and they brought out the Switch 2 ships with a 60-watt charger for use with the dock, and it even says it right there on the dock itself. There's a picture of it, and this does match up with other leaked photos of the dock that we've seen from that original leak that we talked about a few weeks ago. But yes, I know that this image was partially AI generated, but that could just be for protection purposes. But yeah, this does seem to confirm that this is the same dock that was leaked, and it does look like that the Switch 2 will have a lot more power output as far as what it generates versus the Switch 1. Again, we talked about that in detail in that previous video. It'll be linked in the description if you want to have more detail about the extra power watt and what this could mean for the Switch 2 GPU, being possibly based roughly on a RTX 3050 mobile variant GPU, which would be fantastic. But this comes after Digital Foundry did a basically breakdown of what they think this means for the Switch 2 performance in terms of when the motherboard was leaked. They talked about the SoC and what they think could be the size of the chip. None of this is confirmed information. They're just speculating on what is known and what is not known, of course, and taking guesses. But this, I'll make it very clear, came out before this dock information was revealed, which semi-confirms, you could say, because it's like a double verification, a double proof that the Switch 2 will have a much higher TDP than the Switch 1. And what happens when you have a higher TDP? Well, that means you have higher clock speeds. And that pretty much confirms it in my mind. We gotta wait to see, of course, it in action, but Digital Foundry did not take this into consideration. They didn't even know about the second leak, which pretty much confirms it or verifies it, that the Switch 2 will have a much higher TDP. So when they talked about the Switch 2's performance in this article, they pretty much were not considering how much greater the clock speeds for the Switch 2 could be while docked. But they did acknowledge that it could be 5 nanometers as well, but this article seems to lean more heavily towards it being 8 nanometers, which again would be fine in my opinion. But they do acknowledge that DLSS will do a lot of the heavy lifting, which of course makes sense. I did a write-up on this information on my Twitter page. I do suggest you follow me, but I gave some examples of what the Switch 2's dock performance and handheld performance could be in regards to the clock speeds, including giving some low estimates like if it was using Switch 1 clock speeds, and we know Switch 1 use a lot less power than the Switch 2 is going to. But if the Switch 2, for example, was using the exact Switch 1 GPU clock speeds, it would be 786 megahertz docked, which would be roughly about 2.36 teraflops. And then in handheld mode, it would be clocked at 307 megahertz. Again, if this is Switch 1 clock speeds, which would be just under 1 teraflop in portable mode. But again, since now we pretty much know that the dock is going to have much more power draw, and the charger is going to be 60 watts, and the Switch 2 is going to have more power draw as well. But I've always said, actually in previous videos and on live streams, that around 3 teraflops to 1.5 teraflops would still be extremely good if that is what Switch 2 ends up hitting, and they could get that by just hitting 1 gigahertz while docked. And like I said though, 768 megahertz, that would be Switch 1 clock speeds, and the TDP guys just doesn't support them actually using such low clock speeds. If they're using that much TDP for Switch 2, there would be no reason to expand it that high unless they are actually trying to get higher clock speeds, which would in turn give it much better performance while docked. And again, that's exactly what Digital Foundry did not talk about in their overview of the motherboard leak, especially since they acknowledged that the leaked SoC for the Switch 2 has 1536 CUDA cores, which if using this increased TDP would support them getting higher clock speeds to reach a higher performance while docked. And to output games at 4K on your TV, they would actually truly need more power, and it looks like we have the proof that the Switch 2 is going to be more powerful and use a lot more power than the Switch 1, at least double the power consumption that the Switch 1 has. Now, it doesn't stop there though, guys. Yeah, this is really exciting because it doesn't stop there. Now we have the NVIDIA press conference that just happened yesterday, last night, and the CEO Jensen was on stage with his new leather jacket going on and on about the new RTX 5000 series GPUs, Blackwell, and how they're going to be using DLSS 4, and how they're going to have increased frame generation, multi-frame generation, all these things that were not going to be compatible, of course, with the previous generation. But what they didn't highlight on stage is that they are going to be having some very key features that are going to be compatible with all GeForce RTX cards, including the 2000 series and 3000 series, which is Ampere, which is what the Nintendo Switch 2 will be based on, so some type of custom variant of Ampere. So there is a huge update with DLSS for even the 3000 series Ampere based cards that the Switch 2 will be based on. The RTX 3000 series GPUs will in fact support DLSS 4 even on those cards, including ray reconstruction, and it's going to have a brand new variant of how they construct DLSS from the old version. And a lot of people missed this from the actual presentation because they didn't go into this detail on the stage, but in the individual video they do. So take a look at this.
DLSS 4 also introduces a more powerful transformer-based model for super resolution ray reconstruction and DLAA, using 4x more tensor core processing power to reconstruct images at even better image quality for all RTX owners. Previously, all these technologies used a convolutional neural network model, also known as CNN. CNNs were the dominant architecture for image-related applications during the early years of deep learning development. A CNN processes pixel information through local operations, spatially around a small number of neighboring pixels, and temporally across multiple frames. Now we're introducing a new transformer-based architecture for the first time. The transformer architecture is driving the scaling laws of artificial intelligence, and it's what powers the recent advancement in AI applications. Compared to the CNN models, transformers use self-attention and can much more easily identify the longer range patterns across a much larger pixel window. Transformers scale much more effectively than CNNs, so our transformer models ingest over 2 times more parameters and requires 4 times more compute during inference. In fact, DLSS 4 on RTX GPUs is the first time transformer models generate sequential images at a high real-time frame rate. Blackwell's tensor cores provides additional hardware acceleration that boosts the inference speed of these transformer models even further. When using DLSS super resolution, the end product of the transformer model is more temporally stable with more image detail in motion. In intensive ray trace content, the transformer model for ray reconstruction gets an even bigger uplift in general call, especially for scenes with challenging lighting. All the common artifacts from typical denoisers are significantly reduced.
So there you have it. Even the Switch 2 will have this type of DLSS available to it to use. In terms of the image quality being improved, it'll have a lot less ghosting, much better image clarity, and best of all, using things like DLSS performance mode, it's going to look even better than actual DLSS 3 from what we already been talking about on this channel, because DLSS 3.8 or whatever version they're on now already looks way better than anything FSR was doing and anything that PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series S or X can do right now. This only improves on it even more so, making it look even sharper, and actually you can see the fine details even more so than ever. And this is just icing on the cake, which means that this DLSS that Nintendo just patented, the Switch 2 is also going to have access to this as well in their games, whether they're using Nintendo's own patented version of it or Nvidia's official DLSS 4.0, because yes, the Switch 2 does look like it is Ampere based from the leaks and from that SoC that was shown. We know it's Nvidia based, we know it's more modern. So Ampere is that architecture, and Ampere does work with DLSS 4.0. This is extremely exciting stuff. This means that Nintendo can get away with quite a lot with the Switch 2, rendering things at low resolutions like 540p like we've been talking about. Even 480p is going to look pretty darn good upscaled using this brand new version of DLSS. Nvidia is going above and beyond of what I personally expected. This is fantastic news. It's really going to allow Nintendo Switch 2 to get more third-party ports that run at good frame rates, that don't look blurry and look really good on your TV due to this new technology and new method that Nvidia has come up with and debuted just last night, that's going to be working on all their RTX GeForce graphics cards, including the Nintendo Switch 2. I really can't wait to see this next generation of Nintendo finally coming to fruition. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button and subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Have a great day.